And back in 1970, people got together. They had been involved in a conference, and I think this was down at the Ontario College of Art, as I recall, talking about the need for media education and talking about the role media could play in the educational system. I wasn't involved at that point, but Barry Duncan and some other people were. So they began to meet regularly as an organization, and at the beginning it wasn't English teachers exclusively at all. A number of these people were production people, independent filmmakers, people who worked for the National Film Board, for TVO. But Barry Duncan was an English teacher, and the people who became attracted to it through knowing Barry were other English teachers, so that the AML became a major force lobbying with the Ministry of Education to have media literacy made part of the official curriculum of Ontario schools, which happened in '87.
And now it is an official part of the curriculum. And it's, can you talk a little bit about that and why was the decision made that English should be the sort of logical or illogical?
Yeah, English is certainly not the place where other countries often put media literacy. We do in Ontario. I'm not sure why the decision was made to start in English. It could easily spread out to other subject areas, and the ministry would encourage this, in fact. And the media resource book that came out in '89 talks about strategies for getting media out of English departments and into fine arts, into history, into science. But I think the feeling originally, Joe, was that English could do the best job first on this, that so many of the normal methods of analysis of television and film and so on fell naturally into kind of the context of critical reading. So if you could critically read a book, you could critically read a film, and you could critically read a television show. And this is the language the Ministry of Education uses. They make this parallel between critical reading of print and critical reading of the mass media. So English has kind of taken ownership for that reason, but also because most of the developmental stuff being done in media is done by English teachers. So we have solidified our position, if you'd like, by developing courses of studies and units that build it into the English curriculum.
But there is a difference between the formalist kind of reading of a text and the formalist reading of the televisual event. And an English teacher may not have the confidence or the knowledge to essentially do a decoding of a televisual event. So how do you give English teachers that knowledge?
Well, it's true English teachers don't, as part of their training in English, yet get that kind of background. And that's why we have conferences like the conference we're at now, where we try and talk about ideology, values, methods, how things are done with students. And we try to give teachers two things. We try to give them some kind of philosophical basis for what we're doing. And we talk about deconstruction, and we talk about ideology, and we talk about values. And then we give them a very practical kind of hands-on approach, often by getting teachers with a little more experience to talk about methods that have worked for them. And we build it out this way. But we put, I think, our emphasis on the practice at least as much, if not more, than on the theory. And this distinguishes us from popular culture departments in universities that tend to be very theory-heavy.
Are there any strategies right now to open up media literacy to other disciplines?
Not specifically. We're by no means excluding them, but right now we're concentrating on developing skills for English teachers. The time will come, but so far from what I've seen, other subject areas don't seem to have a lot of interest.
Why do you think that is?
I think because, partly because the ministry came out with a guideline that sort of focused on English. I mean, English has to teach media. Other subject areas don't. So that the only teachers who will operate from other subject areas are those who are already keen. Now, that's not to say that there aren't people who are. A number of teachers in art, people with fine arts backgrounds, have taken media literacy training courses, have come to workshops and sessions, and have incorporated that into part of what they do. But I think the reason there aren't more of them is because art teaching has always had a very practical basis. It's more a skill and technique than a critical discussion course. Students are taught how to draw and paint rather than how to interpret and comment on the things in the media. So that's why we kind of still have it.